Next on Hard Copy, a nation in grief and rage as the blood and sex plot of a primetime soap ends in real tragedy.
It's about sex, it's about death, and it's the biggest scandal that ever happened in television.
Police say superstar lover boy Guillermo. In real life, a body is found on the side of the road. The other actors rush to the site. The unimaginable has occurred. They fall to their knees when they see Daniela dead. Daniela's mother, who wrote the very scene that may have brought on the murder, can only weep over her daughter's corpse.
I was born on November 2nd, 1969, in the country of Brazil. Like so many young men, I dreamed of fame and fortune. I wanted to be an actor, to see my face on television screens across the country. In the year of 1990, at the age of 21, I made my first small appearance in a telenovela. It wasn't much, but it was a start. 2 years later, in 1992, I landed what I thought would be my big break, a role in one of the most popular telenovelas in Brazil. Millions of people watched it every day. It was the biggest audience at the time in Brazil, with a rating of 52 points. This is where I first met her, Daniela Perez. She was 22 years old, stunningly beautiful, and already a rising star. The daughter of Gloria Perez, one of Brazil's most famous telenovela writers. Daniela had been practically raised on television sets, surrounded by actors and stories. It seemed she was destined for stardom from birth. I still remember the first time I saw her on set. She moved with the grace of a dancer, which made sense given her background. Daniela had been dancing since she was 5 years old, even performing professionally with one of Rio de Janeiro's top dancing companies. Now, here she was, playing the role of Yasmin, opposite of my character on the show. I was immediately drawn to her. I mean, who wouldn't be? She was talented, charismatic, and absolutely gorgeous. But Daniela was also kind and professional. She treated everyone on set with respect, from the biggest stars to the lowest crew members. I told myself that getting close to her could only help my career. If I could just befriend her, maybe even seduce her. Surely her mother would write me better storylines. My character would become more prominent. I'd finally have my big break. But Daniela kept me at arm's length. She was unfailingly polite, but made it clear she was not interested in anything beyond a professional relationship. I later learned she was already happily married to Raul Gazzola, whom she met on her very first television appearance. What a lucky guy. But I couldn't help it. As the weeks went by, my frustration grew. I watched Daniela's stardom rise higher and higher while I remained in her shadow. Our show was a massive hit, drawing over 35 million viewers every night. But it was Daniela's character, Yasmin, that the audience fell in love with. My character was seen as controlling and jealous, not exactly endearing qualities. Maybe Daniela was deliberately trying to sabotage me. Surely she told her mother to write my character as unlikable. I felt as if they were conspiring to ruin my career before it even began. Is that why Daniela wanted nothing to do with me. But I think I was a bit careless with my obsession. One thing I forgot to mention is that I myself was also married. My wife at the time, Paula, only fueled the fire. She was intensely jealous of Daniela, convinced there was something going on between us, despite me telling her otherwise. But to be totally honest, I did wish she was right, but the reality wasn't anything like that. Paula was 19 and pregnant with our first child. The stress of the pregnancy combined with her suspicions made for a volatile combination. Now, in the late year of 1992, of December, things started to come abruptly to an end. I overheard that my character was going to be written off the show. I was devastated and enraged. This was supposed to be my big break, and now it was being ripped away from me. There was only one person I had to blame for this: Daniela. So on December 28th, we were filming the final scenes of that year. In them, my character's relationship with Yasmin was coming to an end. As we wrapped up for the day, I tried one last time to talk to Daniela, to plead my case, to beg her to speak to her mother on my behalf. But she completely brushed me off. She wouldn't even listen to me. Maybe in my own little world, just maybe, if I had been able to hold her and kiss her, making her fall in love with me, then maybe I could have manipulated her however I wanted. But of course, that did not happen. Instead, I left the studio in a fog of anger and resentment. I went to my home in Copacabana and ranted to Paula about the injustice I received. She listened, and her own jealousy and hatred of Daniela grew with every word. And then it happened. Boom. We both hatched a plan. A plan that we would confront Daniela and force her to listen to us. We didn't have any intention to hurt her. At least that's what I told myself. But we brought weapons, a knife, and scissors. Paula was carrying a sheet and a pillow in her hands. And we knew deep down, truly knew, that in reality this would not end well. We went back to the studios together, but only I got out of the car since I still had some scenes to shoot. Paula stayed hidden in the backseat of the parked car. Daniela and I finished filming around 9 p.m. There were fans waiting outside at the door, and we took the opportunity to take photos with them. But little did they know that would be the last living image they would have of Daniela Perez, the young and beloved actress. And in a moment's notice, it was finally time to put our plan into action. We followed Daniela as she left the studio that night. When she stopped for gas, we made our move. I blocked her car, pretending I needed help. Paula was still hiding in the vehicle. Then Daniela came up to me to ask what was wrong with my car. And right then, I didn't. I struck her, knocking her unconscious. We bundled her into our car and drove to some secluded area. What happened next is still a blur. All I remember was there was a struggle, and Paula tried to stab Daniela with a screwdriver, but she failed. So then she grabbed the scissors. I held Daniela down as Paula struck her with the scissors over and over 18 times in total. 8 to the heart, 6 to the lung and 4 to the neck. It was brutal, senseless violence. But she deserved it. She was dimming my light on purpose. When it was over, we left her body there among the bushes and fled. We washed the car and disposed of the murder weapon in the sea. We thought we had covered our tracks, and we soon figured out we were wrong. Because the next morning, the news broke out. Daniela Perez, beloved television star, had been found murdered. The nation was in shock.
Weep over her daughter's corpse.
I played my part, rushing to the police station with her family, embracing her grieving mother. But inside I was a mess of guilt, fear, and twisted satisfaction. But the truth always comes out. A witness had seen our cars that night and took note of the license plate. Within days, the police were at our door, and under the weight of evidence, I couldn't hold it any longer. I confessed. Paula soon followed suit. The trial, to be honest, was a media circus, but finally, I was the star. I took the chance while the entire country was watching me. I tried to drag this out as long as I could. I changed my story multiple times. At first I claimed full responsibility, but then I got scared and I tried to pin it all on Paula. She did the same, of course, each of us desperately trying to save our own skin. You can tell by our actions we were so happily married. But in the end, it didn't matter, because on January 25th, 1997, I was sentenced to 19 years in prison. Paula received 18 and a half, but luckily for us, due to Brazil's lenient sentencing laws at the time, we both served a very lighter sentence before being released in 1999. Now, I'm not trying to avoid blame. Prison changes a man, or at least it's supposed to, because I found religion behind bars. I became a pastor. When I was released, I tried to reinvent myself and work within a Baptist church. I started a YouTube channel to talk about religion and the Brazilian penitentiary system, but people didn't take that well, because to them, I was nothing more than the killer of Daniela Perez. And they were right. I had done it, and I should have served more time in prison. But years passed. I remarried twice. I gave interviews trying to explain the unexplainable. But no one believed I had reformed. And the more I thought about it, that this all could have been avoided if I wasn't so obsessed with becoming famous. She was everything I wanted to be: talented, beloved, successful. And in my mind, if I couldn't have that success, neither should she. My resentment and Paula's jealousy festered into something monstrous. We convinced ourselves that Daniela deserved to die, that we were somehow the victims. But we were wrong, so terribly wrong. In the end, our actions didn't just destroy Daniela's life, they destroyed our own as well. Our names forever associated with one of Brazil's most shocking crimes. The television career I so desperately wanted was over before it even began. Through it all, Gloria Perez, Daniela's mother, never stopped fighting for justice. She campaigned tirelessly to change Brazil's laws. making it harder for people like me to get out of prison so easily. She didn't, finally didn't, but I had already gotten away with it. Then on November 6, 2022, everything came to an end for me. I was 53 years old when my heart gave out. An ironic death, perhaps, for a man who had so callously stopped another's heart 30 years earlier. As for Daniela, she became a symbol of talent cut short because of senseless violence. The 35 million viewers who had tuned in each night to watch her on their screens now will forever hate me, and the entire country of Brazil mourns the loss of the true star of that show. And who am I, you ask? My name is Guilherme de Padua.